Most of the history I research, the people who created it are dead a long time ago, but about 15, 20 years ago, I was lucky enough to research the history of the Fifth Field Surveyor Company. When the Japanese were threatening us in 1939, we had no topographic maps to fight a war with in Queensland. We had plenty of boundary maps with their properties going back to the 1830s and 1860s. We knew where your boundaries were, but as in relation to the contours and the heights and the roads and the bridges and the wharves and all the infrastructure, nothing. So they trained a group of Queensland surveyors in 1939 in the Kilcoy Showgrounds in the art of topographic mapping, the Army. It was the Fifth Field Surveyor Company. And then they let them loose on the coast all the way to Cape York to make these 1 mile to the inch topographic maps in case we were invaded. Now, of that group of people, there were about 200, and there were 30 of them left alive at the time that I did this research. So I would go out every smoko to somebody, if they were in Brisbane, and interview them and get the material. And you'd go out to Charlie and you'd say, "What did you do, Charlie? How did you make the maps?" And Charlie would tell you, and you'd say, "And what else did you do?" And he'd tell you. And you'd say, "Did you take any photographs, Charlie?" "Oh no, Bill, wartime, not allowed, photographic material scarce, top secret." So you'd have another cup of tea and another Lamington, and you'd try the same angle with a different act. "You sure there was nothing you did like that, Charlie?" "Oh, I might have taken one, another cup of tea, another Lamington." On went the conversation. "I'll have a look." Out of these 30 people, I ended up with 700 photographs that they took during their Survey Corps experiences making topographic maps in Queensland. If you're going to be in the Second World War, it pays to be in the Survey Corps, because they had their own judo classes, swimming classes, football clubs, their own butchers, bakers. A survey company has to rely on itself. So not only were there were surveyors, cartographers, axemen, drivers, mechanics, cooks, the whole box and dice in this one company so they could move independently. And so from all these people, they made their own Christmas cards. Their cartographers drafted up these Butte Christmas cards. They had benefit concerts before they left the colony there, and they put out these Butte flash invitations. Yeah, it's just magical to think that for people that didn't have cameras and didn't have any photographic material, they produced 700 photographs. Again, being in this department is very, very handy if somebody's going to present you with a photograph, because we had the best photographic section in the Southern Hemisphere. We had cameras that were negatives were 1 metre tall by 1 metre wide, not that small. So we could reproduce anything, this department, and of course we did. We borrowed these photos. We're not a repository for old photographs. We're a repository for brass artefacts and things, yeah. But the old photographs we borrow from these people, now today we scan them here, but in the old days we'd take a big 2 1/4 inch negative, and then we'd get a copy print and put it in an album with the details, store the negative and give the people back their original photographs plus a new copy. So that's what we did. That was our policy. So they benefited, we benefited, and we weren't storing old paper, because old photographs will just continue to fade. They're very nice, but if you don't do something and get the image off them now, then you're up the creek. A lot of people have said, "Oh, come and see my old photographs." And I said, "Have you scanned them? You've done something?" "No." I said, "In 10 years' time, you won't have an image, so do it now." So it was a magical period when when you wrote about the Survey Corps, you had 30 people to go back to say, "Well, did I get it right?" And they say, "No, that's wrong, that's wrong." They'd correct it and we'd get the story right. So all of this stuff it's oral history, except that the people are still alive to give you the correct oral history part.